What up, y'all? It's T-Tur, and today we're going to be talking about something interesting that I think might be addressed in Pokemon Legends ZA, which is the first Mega Evolution trainer. Now, to clear the dust, there are two Pokemon that are currently deemed the first Mega Evolution. You have Rayquaza, which is a natural Mega Evolution. It's the one talked about in Hoenn Myths and the one Xenia tells you about in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But there's another Pokemon that also has this title, which is in the original Mega Evolution games, X and Y. And it's Lucario. It's the whole concept of a location called the Tower of Mastery, where you go to in Shadowless City and walk in to see this giant statue of a Mega Evolved Lucario. This is where you get your Mega Ring and everything. The story with the Tower of Mastery is that a long time ago, a Pokemon and its trainer came from a distant land to Kalos. They discovered these two stones and they created the first Mega Evolution, or they achieved the first Mega Evolution. This is that Lucario statue you see. Now, if you ever mention that Rayquaza is the first Mega online, you're instantly gonna get people saying, no, it's Lucario. I see it a bit differently, because Rayquaza does look like it was the first Mega, and the stuff involving this Lucario statue and its story seems like something of much more recent times to me. You could say it gives you vibes of 3,000 years ago, because that's another time period we know in Kalos, so maybe during that war, a trainer that Mega Evolved their Lucario, that image of them is passed down, they make a statue of them, and so the Tower of Mastery is really referencing that. That's not really the picture I get. One, we don't know if Mega Evolution was used in Kalos' ancient war, because AZ firing that weapon is apparently what leads to the Mega Stones appearing all over the region, right? And the second thing is, history is not necessarily told correctly. Just because this trainer came to Kalos, and just because they call it the first Mega Evolution ever, doesn't mean it is. That's just what creates the traditions that are in the Tower of Mastery. There's two pathways I can give to this, and this is giving X and Y story the benefit of the doubt, that they're as accurate as possible, and are the first Mega Evolution. But to pause here, not the first Mega Evolution in general, but the first Mega Evolution known to Kalos. And it's something like they could have appeared a pretty long time ago, like 1,000 years ago, and then they discover what leads to the first Mega Evolution. Or this event could have happened like 200 years ago, like during the time Legends EA takes place, or a bit around there. This kind of goes hand in hand with that other video I made about Mega Evolution shards, how Pokemon can fix an issue with Mega Evolution that they'd probably not be happy with. And that video talks about the Kalos region during the events of Legends EA as being less knowledgeable about Mega Evolution, that they only have these primitive shards. So all this happening at the same time, and that first Mega Evolution trainer actually maybe achieving it during the events of Legends EA, or at least existing during the events of Legends EA. This is the cool idea. We wouldn't be going to the Tower of Mastery because that's in Shadowless City, the whole game takes place in Lumios. But something real interesting that you could have happening is the original Mega Evolution trainer appearing in Lumios City, and them being one of the only trainers who have a Mega Evolution, walking around with this Lucario behind them, and everyone being awestruck whenever they appear. They would kind of be the Leon figure of the games, the champion equivalent. Throughout the game, people would unlock the secrets and also Mega Evolve their Pokemon, but it gives a cool image. And so the last reason I say something like this is, you know, Corina, she's involved in these traditions and all, and X and Y came out a long time ago, so we forget this lore, but that dude with the long eyebrows is her grandfather, right? He's the one who holds the current key of all the traditions. He's the one probably teaching Corina and all. The original Mega Evolution trainer, that eyebrow grandpa man, descended from him. This has always been fascinating to me because it kind of tells you an interesting story, where that statue you see of the Lucario, its descendant is probably the same Lucario that Corina fights you with. Everything's probably connected linearly. And so the question really becomes, how far up does that lineage go? Would you really attest it to 3,000 years ago? Or would you put it to a more modern time? Traditions can last for a long time. The trainer could be from 3,000 years ago, and this is just a very old building. Or it can be from 200 years ago, and it's really just like Gherkin's grandpa, who's the original Mega Evolution trainer. No real time period is given to the Tower of Mastery, only that Gherkin has the title of Mega Evolution Guru. But if you look in the anime, this man transforms, this man is crazy. He can fight. But of course he can fight, right? He's not just an old man, he's the descendant of that strong Mega Evolution trainer. In the anime, they actually make him look very versatile. He has a Mega Blaziken, Mega Alakazam, Mega Lucario. In a weird way, he could be above the champion. One thing I can kind of think of is when Gherkin here is giving you the Mega Ring and all, he says that he only has one to give. So it gives you this image that it's the same Mega Rings that are kind of passed down. Like he ran out of Mega Rings? Does that make this tradition sound like it's existed for a long time? That the Mega Stones they gathered, they slowly gave to qualifying trainers that could then fight the Mega Evolution successor and then Mega Evolve their Pokemon wherever they want in Kalos? Or does it make it sound like it's a smaller time period that this tradition has existed? It's hard to tell, right? I think my favorite sweet spot for when this Mega Evolution trainer existed is before the events of Legends EA. Either like 100 years before the events or hundreds of years before the events. The coolest thing to show us in Legends EA, and this Leon figure I'm talking about, is if they show us a character who's actually the grandson or granddaughter of the original Mega Evolution trainer. So this would put him at about like 100 years ago, if we want to really stretch it. I'm kind of imagining this character to be a girl because I pretty much would want them to make her look like an older styled Korrina, because this is how Legends games go, right? You have Perrin in the modern day, her ancestor Adamant has very obvious features that show you they're connected. So I think having this girl with the staff or whatever, that's where her keystone is, and she has a Lucario following her, of course, right? That's the main tradition, that it's a Lucario. And she's running around Lumiose as the champion-like figure that's helping secure the borders, pushing back the evil teams in the wild Pokemon and all to help redevelop Lumiose. But she wouldn't be a part of the Lumiose city situation, because this would be whatever the Napoleon figure is. This is his plan to redevelop it. She's still from Shalor. She's just appearing in Lumiose, and giving her more of that wanderer status, in my opinion, would be much cooler. But the main thing is, while she'd be running around like this champion figure, her appearance, she'll have the face of Korrina, but unlike Korrina, how we see her in the modern day as a roller skater and all, this one would be dressed in more traditional clothing that would be in line with the vibes that Mega Evolution and the Tower of Mastery give you. So she'd have like this white cloak, the staff I was talking about, and because she'd be a separate party, she doesn't have to really conform to weird things that are happening in Lumiose. So if they're telling all the citizens to stay in the center of the village while they're redeveloping the city, you as the main character and then her as an outsider could be some of those characters that are exploring Lumiose even though the leader said not to, and going on your adventure. I guess I would imagine the climax is she would be the strongest trainer, but she wouldn't be enough when it comes to the final battle against the evil team leader. That's when you come in, you help save the day. I actually imagine a cool intro to the game, kind of like the start of Sun and Moon, where you help the Cosmog. Something like you help a wild Pokemon outside the borders of the village, and then you run into her there, and she sees your spirit in some sense, that you actually get your keystone from her. She's just carrying an extra keystone with her. She gives it to you and maybe gives you like a baby Riolu. And like that's your actual starter in the game, a Riolu. Then very quickly go back to the village and you pick your actual legend starter. What do we think it is? Torchic, Piplup, Snivy? It would actually be cool to have her come first and you get the keystone that early in the game. These are just some of my thoughts. I think it'd be really cool if this is how it played out. Y'all let me know. Shank that like button. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.